All right, so in this screencast, we pick back up with the work we've been doing on using inequalities and word problems. Here we're talking about a phone plan, which for you guys, y'all's phone plans are probably unlimited, right? You can just call, text, data out the wazoo, doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to age myself here, but when I got a cell phone, probably when I was in high school, I paid like a dime per text, like 10 cents per text. Could you imagine how much that would cost in today's world? Insane. I also had it where like you had a certain number of minutes that you could use on your cell phone, kind of like a payphone or like a Go phone they call it now, but a certain number of minutes. And then once it ticked 9 o'clock at night, you got all the minutes you wanted to. It's called free nights and weekends. So like at night, you could talk all you want on the cell phone. On the weekends, you could talk all you want. But like during the day, like right now during the business day, you had, let's say, like 200 minutes to use that month. And if you went over your minutes, you paid extra. Isn't that crazy? Craziness. So Talicia has this phone plan. It costs her $28.80 base per month. And then she's the old school. She's paying per text. Hers is 20 cents per text. So it says, how many text messages can she send and receive and keep her monthly bill? No more than $50. So like right off the bat, if I were going to say 50, okay, and then, we've got some expression over here on the left, what type of inequality am I going to need to use? Do I want it to be greater than 50, greater than or equal to 50, less than 50, or less than or equal to 50? Less than or equal to, because it says no more than. If I say don't eat more than 5 cookies, you can eat 5 cookies and have obeyed me, right? So it's okay to include that 50, so we'll use a less than or equal to symbol. Now the problem is coming up with the expression, okay? So what do you guys think? How would I tack this expression together? There's 2 pieces that come into play. Did I see a hand in the back? Blake? All right, so like if we want to let T be the number of texts that she sends or receives, right? So we're paying that base fee up the front, and then we're multiplying 20 cents for every text, okay? And that winds up equaling $50. Pretty straightforward. You experience this same type of scenario anytime you get in a taxi cab. Anybody ever ridden in a taxi cab? Have y'all done Uber before? You guys done Uber? Taxi cabs, the way they do it is they charge you just for getting in the door, and then they charge you per mile. So taxi cab, if you called a cab, they might be like, all right, it's going to cost you $5 plus, a quarter every 1/8 of a mile. If you're living in a big city like that or something. So you would pay a straight up fee. That's her straight up fee. It's $28.80. And then what we want to do is just subtract $28.80 from both sides. We get $21.20. And then divide both sides by 0.2. I don't have to reverse the direction of the inequality, right? Because I'm not dividing by a negative. And then 100 and... what's it wind up being? Y'all run the number yet? 106. So as long as she keeps her texts down below 107 texts, she's all right. If she has 106, she's fine. If she has 100, she's fine. If she has 0, she's fine. But if she goes above 106, then she's going to be in trouble. All right. Last one, and you guys get to try it. And if you're watching at home, you can pause the video and work this one out yourself. All right, so while you've been kind of getting this ball rolling, I made a little picture for you. You guys in class here watched me make it. You realize what I'm doing is I'm actually counting the number of nights in the hotel. So for a 6-day trip, it's actually 5 nights in a hotel. Your day 1 is going to be travel day, fly there, hang out during the day. Like let's say my wife wants to go to Disney World. She loves Disney World, okay? So we fly down to Orlando. Buddy, we're going to Disney World that day, okay? So you don't fly down there and then just go to sleep in the hotel. You fly down there and you go to Disney World that day. And then that first night you spend in the hotel. Second night, third night, fourth night, fifth night. You're not going to stay a 6th night because at the end of your 6th day, you're going to fly home and stay home. So this is actually how many nights? 5 nights. So when we talk about the cost is going to be made up of airfare, food and sightseeing, plus 95 times 5, because it's $95 per night. Okay, that's what the cost is going to be. What is the income that he earns going to be? Good. So he's got a base of $840 that he's been saving up, and to that he's going to add $45 times the number of hours, let's just say H, that he is working as a tutor. And I put in red there that inequality of greater than or equal to, because is it okay if he earns more money than he needs for his trip? What do you think? Of course, right? But would it be okay if he earned not enough money for his trip? No, you can't travel on, on credit like that. You gotta have your trip paid for. So the idea here is that we've got, let me shift some things around. We've got a nice little inequality here that we can solve out once we do the arithmetic. Okay. So has anybody tallied up what 95 times 5 and then add 780 and then add 525? What's all that going to end up equaling over on the right? 1,780? And then 840 plus 45H. Let's subtract 840 from both sides. $940. Divide both sides by 45. What's 940 divided by 45? Nice and loud. Loud. I can't hear anything. 20.8. All right, superb. So what that means is that the number of hours he works has to be greater than or equal to 20.8 hours. Now, if we were going to round this to the nearest hour, he'd need to work what? 21 hours. If he worked 20 hours, he wouldn't have enough money. But if he worked 21 hours as a tutor, so to answer the question, it says, how many hours must the tutor work? We would say 21 hours. All right. Is that helping a little bit with some of the questions y'all might have had on the homework? Let's look at the homework. So that's our last example in class. And the homework section that you guys were going through, you said you didn't really have issues with the first bunch. The first bit was okay. It was once we got down here into the word problems. So let's take a look at number 348. Talking about Andre's looking at apartments with his 3 buddies. They want monthly rent to be no more than $2,360. All right, so $2,360, something that's no more than needs to be less than or equal to $2,360. Right? Would it be okay if it equaled $2,360? Of course, just as long as it's not more than. Don't eat more than 5 cookies. Can I eat 5 cookies? Of course. So it says the roommates are going to split the rent evenly among the 4 of them. What's the maximum rent each will pay for? So 4 times the rent is going to wind up being less than or equal to $2,360. We divide both sides by 4. And that we know that rent is going to be $590. So at most, I'm going to pay $590 to live in this apartment per month. Easy enough. And again, we're looking for keywords like no more than. Don't be a math robot and just default back to, yeah, so where's that list at? Yeah, let me look at my list. Okay, so I see is no more than. And I think, okay, that's going to be this symbol right here. That's not my goal for you guys. I don't want you to just be a bunch of list referencers. I want you to have common sense. I want you to be able to think through the problem, analyze what they're actually saying, and apply the appropriate inequality. Okay? You have your homework out in front of you. What was another one that we were looking at that maybe gave us some grief there? Palzola? 369. Let's see here. All right, perfect. Maximum weight on a boat. You don't want to get too many people in a boat. And it is a tragedy, but a lot of times these boats, like these ferries, you'll see a ferry crash overseas, and it'll kill hundreds of people, right? It's a big flipping deal. If you've seen Spider-Man Homecoming, you know, that type of ferry crash is a monumental tragedy. So it says this water taxi in Baltimore, 5 people have drowned, sadly, okay, had a maximum capacity of 3,500 pounds. Now that's a maximum capacity, which means that the amount of stuff, people and luggage and you know whatever else they've got on there is going to have to be capped at 3,500. It has to be less than or equal to that. You see this on in a hotel elevator. Yeah, you get in a hotel elevator. What does it say? Maximum capacity of 2,500 pounds. No more. And I always get in there and I'm like, all right, I'm doing the math. If let's say I weigh $180, how many of me could there be in here and at one time? You know, and you're doing that math and you're like, okay, yeah, we're good to go. And then that extra person tries to get on, and what does the elevator do? It'll beep at you. If you got too many people on it, they've got a sensor where it says, you know what, before we move, you got to get out of the elevator because there's too many people on it. All right. So this example right here, let's consider what we need to take into account here. It says the average weight of the 25 people on the water taxi when it sank was 168 pounds. So 168 on the average. There was 25 people there. So that's the amount of weight in terms of persons. And it says, what should the maximum number of people of this weight have been? So let's just see, what is 168 times 25? Y'all are helping me out, Johnny, on the spot with these calculator issues. 4,200. All right. Now, obviously, that's too many. Right? So if I were going to make my inequality work out, I would want that number to be less than 25. And the question says, how many people should it have been? So if I set it up where, I let X be the number of people that get on this boat, and let's say there's an average of 168 pounds per person, now I can just divide both sides by 168. What's the number roundabouts? 3,500 divided by 168? 20.8, so 20 and some change. All right, so if I divide both sides by that, then X has to be less than or equal to 20.8. So that means if 21 people got on the ship or got on the ferry, would that be okay? No. And you could brute force it. You could say 21 times 168. You're going to get a number greater than 3,500. Okay, so 20 people should have been the maximum number. And they would likely have had a sign, if they'd have been thinking about it, that says no more than 20 people can get on this boat. Right, 20 people of the size 168. Now you get in trouble putting a sign up there because is everybody 168 pounds? Nope. If 20 Sean Morgans got on there, we'd be in trouble. Right, because we'd be over the poundage. So that's why oftentimes they don't say it in terms of people, they say it in terms of pounds, and then we get to do the fun little elevator math. Other questions, maybe not working them out to fulfillment, but maybe setting them up. Any other questions y'all were curious about? Landon? 366. Alonzo works as a car detailer, charges $175 per car. Planning to move out of his parents' house, need to pay. All right, so I get the feeling this is going to be kind of like that tutoring in the hours. So 175 times however many cars he does, and that needs to be greater than or equal to his costs, his fees that he needs to pay. 120, $950 for the security deposit, first and last month's rent. So that's going to be 2 because it's first month and last month. and he's also got 1810 in terms of savings. So how many cars must he detail? So in other words, his income, his revenue, has to be at least what his cost is. And if you guys go into sort of a business mentality or a business study later on in school, you'll understand about revenue and cost and profit. If my revenue is not greater than or equal to my cost, I got no profit. Okay? So as a business, obviously you want to try to turn a profit. This is where you count the cost, you tally your revenue, and you determine the best possible scenarios. And of course, they're going to be more complicated functions than just this linear function that we're dealing with here. But I'll let you guys roll from there. And as far as this screencast goes, I'm going to wrap it up. These were some of the homework questions, again, dealing with some of the same topics that we've looked at in this section. The numbers that you guys are doing are at the top of your screen, and I'm going to take that up tomorrow. That'll be, Friday? I'll take that up Friday. We'll have more discussion there.